So, another example. So, this morning, my phone buzzed and it said, leave in 7 minutes for your brunch. I did not tell anybody. I mean, it is obviously in my, like,
Incredible. And that's useful,
but in
actually.
reality, it's like sitting right next to us on the couch inside your phone.
It's AI. That's what artificial intelligence is.
And that is why we wanted to do this series.
Welcome back to Chocolate and Spice Talk. I am Neha.
Hey everyone, I'm Nidhi, and today we are doing something a little different. We are kicking off a brand new 4 part series that we are really excited to talk about.
We're calling it our AI series. And before you tune out thinking, oh no, this is going to be super technical, it is not. We promise. We are going to break down the way we break down anything else or any other topic in this podcast. We're like two sisters or two friends just sitting on the couch with coffee and having a real conversation. And to quickly share a bit more about myself to those who are new here, I am a computer science engineer and an MBA with over 20 years of experience in leadership and technology. I love learning, teaching, and I right now I'm obsessing about how the world is changing with AI.
And I followed my sister path, and so I'm also an engineer. I have an MBA degree with over 15 years of experience in product and technology. I love a good plan. I love a good laugh with my friends. And right now, I have at least 5 different AI projects that is really keeping me busy. So we are not just some random people talking about AI. Between the two of us, we have 35 years in tech industry. We have watched this evolution from the inside. And in this first episode, we are going to do 3 things. We will show you where AI lives inside your day, tell you short stories of how we got here, and break down how tools like Claude, Gemini actually work just in plain English language.
Yeah, and I think that's what's going to make our take on this very different from the other AI podcasts out there because we're not going to just be talking about AI because, we're just learning about it, but we have lived through this evolution. I remember when I started working in tech, and that was actually almost 23 years back, AI was very academic, right? Nobody thought it was going to be mainstream. Plus, as a South Asian woman in tech, I was so busy trying to be taken seriously. I didn't have any time to go deeper into subject matters like AI, which I didn't think was going to be real and practical.
Yeah, and same for me. Like years back when I just started, AI had just started creeping into products. So I used to hear about decision trees and
Mhm.
recommendation engine, basic chatbots, and early smart features. Nothing like what we see today. But what I find interesting is how we, as women who have been in this field, are processing this moment together. And I think it's empowering and a little bit frightening at the same time.
But what do you mean by frightening?
Yeah, I mean, the whole conversation about AI is changing in this industry, right? And for people like us who grew in immigrant families where our parents worked so hard to give us options and stability, like stability, I think is a main word. So it's a little bit exciting and also unsettling. And I say that because we both have fought so hard to be where we are currently, and now the ground is kind of shifting under our feet again, right?
Yep, that's real actually. And I think that's why we wanted to do the series, right? Like you and I were chatting about AI and what it means for us, our career. And our goal is not just to explain the technology, but to talk about what it means for all of us, for our parents, for our kids, and for all of us who are growing with AI. And especially kids, right? Like for our kids, AI has become a new normal.
Exactly. And for my son, he's 7 years old. He knows what ChatGPT is. He talks to ChatGPT like it's the
Mhm.
most natural thing. He knows that Alexa, Google, Siri are AI. I mean, I don't know how much he understands what AI is, but he knows the word AI. And he goes to a very tech forward school, like AI first school. And for him, it's just part of life. And for example, like in his school, they use AI powered software that adjusts to level of the students' understanding in real time. And the rest of the day, they do workshops and projects and learn real world skills. So for kids nowadays, like AI is just the way we grew up with calculator. It's so common for them.
It's incredible, right? And then when we start thinking about our parents, right? Our dad's a doctor. And if I were to go and try to tell him that there is now a computer program that can just analyze medical scans, for example, right? Or sing songs, because I know he likes to sing songs, like sing songs perfectly, or create art, or write poetry, he's going to be surprised, right? Like he's going to be like, you're still talking science fiction.
Yeah. And I think that's where the generational gap comes in. Our kids are growing inside this AI world. Our parents are like peeking from
Yep.
outside. And we are kind of the bridge in the middle. And I call it like the messy middle, where we are trying to, figure things out. And how do you explain this to our parents? Like, how do you stay grounded yourself in this field that is changing so fast every single day?
Yep, yep. And honestly, we're still figuring it out too, for our listeners. So obviously, we're not going to have all the answers, no way, in this podcast or any upcoming podcast. But what we want to do is be able to ask better questions and learn it all out loud with you, because ultimately, that's how we can learn best. If we ask the right questions, if we're very thoughtful and mindful about what we are learning. So if you are listening and you have a favorite AI tool or article or tools actually nowadays, and if you have any worries or questions, please feel free to send them our way. We are very, very invested and interested in this topic. And whatever is easiest for you, just send it via DMs or email or whatever. We want to make sure this series feels like a conversation. There is no way we can lecture or give any actual huge knowledge on this topic. It has to be a two-way flow. So, with that, let us start with something that might actually blow people's mind a little if they're not close to tech. Nidhi, can you guess how many times on an average currently most people interact with AI in a single day?
If I were to take a wild guess, I think, I don't know, 10 times?
It's probably more in hundreds.
Um,
Every time, like obviously we most of us use iPhone, right? Every time you unlock your phone with your face, which I have it for convenience, and that actually my son taught me, and now I have it for convenience. And that's AI, right? Every time you switch on your TV and Prime suggests a show that you start binge watching, that is also AI. Every time you open your email and there's an auto spam filtering and your spams are all filtered out, that is AI. In fact, when you start typing something, on your phone and it auto fills it, I have it on my computers, but it auto fills or finishes a sentence, that is AI too.
Okay, that autocomplete thing is a little creepy. Like there are times when I'm texting my husband and it knows exactly what I'm going to type and it autocompletes and I just totally freak out. But, sometimes I feel my phone knows me a little bit better than I know myself.
But yeah, I mean, in some ways, yes, because that's the only way modern AI could really work. Like, if it has to get smarter, it has to really know you well, because the phone has started to learn those patterns, the words that you use most, the phrases that you repeat. Basically, it's listening to you. And then that's pattern recognition at scale.
So let's do a quick rundown for our listeners. So here are some places AI is already there in your life and we probably just don't even realize it. So do you want to go first, Steve?
Yeah, sure. So Google Maps is a great example. If you're using Waze and Google Maps while driving, you'd know that AI is actually used to analyze the traffic patterns from millions of phones, right? And it's predicting the next possible fastest route or the best route for you. And it's doing that in real time. Similarly, if you have Spotify on your phone, they actually use recommendation engines via AI to figure out what is the next song you would like to hear based on millions of people who have tastes similar to you. So see that's what pattern recognition talks about. And same thing, the email one that I mentioned, the way it filters out spam is because it learns from your behavior as well. Like it sees which ones you're marking as spam, and then it uses AI to decide what's legitimate or not.
Another one is online shopping, like when
Hmm.
Amazon says customers who bought this also bought that. So, this is
Mhm.
where AI is connecting patterns across millions of purchases. And this one surprised me when I learned about it is when you take a photo on your iPhone and it automatically makes the sky look a little bit more blue
Oh.
or makes your skin a little bit smoother, which I always appreciate. But this is AI processing happening in real time. And another one which is very interesting for me because I have worked in like banking industry, it's when you get a text from a bank saying that, hey, was this transaction by you? And this usually
Mm.
happens to me when I use like my credit card in a gas station in a different city or a different part of the town that I usually don't visit. And so that's where it knows how to flag and why to flag it. So it has looked at every transaction you have ever made, whether you go shopping, what time, how much money you have spent. And at that in that moment, something broke the pattern, right? And that's when it raises a flag, and your credit card is kind of a 24/7 AI bodyguard that you never hired, but thankfully is there to protect. So, yeah, I mean, the first thing that we want everybody to get from this episode is AI is not coming, AI is already here.
Yep.
And you're already using it. And the question is not whether AI will affect your life. We're already using it. The question is, do you understand it well enough to use it intentionally? And I think we want to emphasize on the word intentionally because that is what we are trying to do with this episode.
100%.
Yeah.
All
All right.
right.
So Neha, since you are so good with research, and I know you are kind of geeky when it comes to a lot of history things. So I'm going to throw this question at you. So now that we have established that AI is everywhere, let's do a quick history. And what I mean by that is, can you help us do a speed run of AI history and no notebook stuff? Just a little bit of highlight is good enough for us.
Okay, I will try. Of course, I love sharing history, so I might go too deep. Just stop me when I'm going too deep. So it kind of started, like really started in 1950 when a brilliant British mathematician named Alan Turing asked a very simple but powerful question: Can machines talk? And that question literally started everything from my understanding. So he created something called Turing test. So basically, the test is about if a machine can have a text-based conversation with a human and the human cannot tell it is a machine, then the machine can be considered intelligent. So obviously back then computers were, like filled entire rooms. We've seen photos of that, and they could barely do real good math. So this was a wild, fantastical idea at that time.
Okay, that's interesting. But obviously, we didn't go from here straight to like Claude and Gemini, right?
No, 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 not at all. So there was a lot of hype. It was almost like an idea start, right? And then obviously a lot of people started working on it, but there were quite a few disappointments. Technology was really not there. There were lots of programs made to play chess and have simple conversations. There was this very famous chatbot called Eliza in the mid 1960s, and the idea behind that was to explore what happens when humans and machine communicate. So it actually role played a psychotherapist, but it was actually a computer program, right? It used pattern matching and rules to, for example, repeat the sentences back to you as questions. So if you said, I am tired today, it would say, why do you feel tired today?
Yeah, that is so interesting. And I'm pretty sure that was very influential in the AI field because it could influence human interaction and psychology, right? Something so new.
Yep, exactly. But here's the thing, the problem was the technology was not there yet. Like we could understand what impact it could bring, but we just did not have the actual technology. The computers were slow, there was just not enough data. And at that time, AI was not self-learning, and we'll talk about self-learning later. So there were these periods that were called AI winters, where funding would dry for any such deep research. You need a lot of funding, right? And then funding would dry up and it would feel like, oh, it's all a hype, it's just a nice dream, it's never actually going to happen.
Yeah.
So
So when did things start to change and get into
yeah.
what we are today?
Yeah. And it's about the time when, like, you and I were talking about our grad school and all that. Like, right about that time, like in 2000s and 2010s, that's when the real changes really started happening because, internet exploded. Internet explosion means there was massive amount of data, which is like text, image, video, all of that was available in a huge quantity, billions and billions of them. And then obviously computers got more powerful. So we knew CPUs at that time, right? And then came GPUs, that's the graphic processing units. And they were originally made for video games, but it turned out that they could be really perfect for AI because they could enable model trainings thousands and thousands of times faster. So speed was a huge plus here.
And my husband works very closely with GPUs, so I hear
Mhm.
so much about it at home. So, data plus computing power was the magic combination, right? And then
Yep,
in
yep.
2017, something truly game changing happened. A team in Google published a research paper that had a very simple title, and all it said is attention is all you need. And that paper basically introduced something called a transformer architecture. And I know it sounds super technical. So, Neha, why don't you help us understand what that is?
Yeah. Transform architecture is super relevant for the current modern AI. It is a very complicated technology. I'm still learning, so there is no way I can parse completely, but I'll give it a try. So, before transformers, AI would process language one word at a time, right? Like the way you read a book. You read the first word, then you read the second word, and that's how AI would process an understanding as well. Transformers actually introduced something called self-attention. So instead of reading word by word, these AI models, can pay attention to all the words at once. And it sees how every word relates to every other word and can make very smart deductions because it is context aware. So that's a huge unlock, right? Like the context awareness. And the other thing is that these transformers actually could process everything in parallel. So speed was paramount. So it's not sequential. So you could, throw way more data and computing power at it, and it just kept getting smarter.
Oh, wow.
And
Yeah,
yeah,
I think parallel computing must be a game changer that
yep.
the speed becomes, something of so much essence. So that's interesting.
Yeah,
And
because it has to make it look effortless, right? Right now, you hardly type something and you get a response, and that does not come for free. There's something happening behind the scenes.
true. All right. So, what led to Chat GPT? So, let me ask you something. I hear GPT all the time, Chat GPT, GPT-4, and what does GPT actually stand for?
Yeah, this is a favorite one for me to explain because it's so fun. Like the term GPT pretty much says it all because it stands for generative pre-trained transformer. So these three words basically talk about those three big ideas that we were just chatting about. So generative, as it suggests, means that's creating new content. Like that's the coolest thing right now about AI, right? It's not just analyzing and sorting and just pattern matching. It's actually creating new text, creating new images, creating new videos. And then the P in GPT stands for pre-trained, which means everything that you're going to ask it, it has already learned. It is pre-trained. It has gone through a massive amount of text and other kinds of data, and it has pre-learned. So it's like, when a deep researcher has gone to school for years and years and has gone super deep into the subject matter and knows everything about the subject matter. So you can ask that person anything and she'll be able to answer. So that's kind of like what pre-training is. And then finally, T in GPT stands for transformer, what we're just talking about, which is the breakthrough architecture. So when somebody says GPT, they're really saying it's a system that can generate new content, that it was pre-trained on huge amounts of data, and that it uses the transformer architecture.
Oh, wow. I love that. So, name is basically a recipe, right?
Pretty
And
much.
yeah, here's the wild part. Training one of this model is not a small task, right? And we're talking about weeks and months of computation, terabytes of data, and that is like every book in every library in the world, and over many times again, not just one. And when OpenAI released like ChatGPT 1 back in 2018, it was very impressive. I mean, I would give them it was very impressive, but it was very small. And by the time they released ChatGPT to public, which was around late 2022, it's like the fastest product to reach 100 million users, and it just took them like 2 months. And I'll give you a quick story. And I don't know if you remember when ChatGPT released in 2022, it was, they did like, oh, come sign up. This is something very interesting. And they didn't anticipate it. So many people would sign up. And my husband, obviously, on top of any tech news, and he was like, oh, right, there's this thing. Go create your account. He created his account, and I woke up next morning. I was like, yeah, he had sent me a link, and I tried to click, and they has like, oh, because of the extreme demand, now you are in a queue to join, and we'll let
Mm,
you know. So basically, like overnight, the
it's
demand shot up
amazing.
so fast that I was placed in a queue. But I wanted to give a little bit more context that it took Instagram 2.5 years and TikTok 9 months. So it was clearly like ready for this. So what I meant was like training and the time it takes. So it's such a huge task to train and give them all the information. It's huge. Yeah.
Yep. Like, Anna, you're saying it blew up in 2 months compared to the, what, 2 years and 9 months. I mean, imagine.
Yeah.
All right. Well, with that, let's get into the part that I think a lot of us are most curious about, right? Like, how does AI or how does artificial intelligence actually work?
Mhm.
Like when I type something into Claude or Gemini, what is actually happening behind the scenes?
All right. So I'm going to try to explain this without any math, and let me give you like a big picture first. So AI model is basically a computer program, right? And this is built the way a child learns. So think about a toddler trying to pick up a language. So nobody sits with a 2-year-old with a grammar textbook trying to explain, what everything means. So here the results, like the rules of the English is, it doesn't work like that. So what the way child learns is they hears millions of sentences from parents, from TV, from siblings, from the world around them, and over time they start to recognize patterns. They figure out after I want usually comes milk,
Mm.
or I want to play with that toy. And they do not learn the rules, they just absorb the patterns. And so AI learns the same way. So Neha, can you help us like expand on that?
Yeah, I mean, you said it all actually. So, except that like the example that you gave of a child, they're usually listening at the dinner table or in story time. Whereas an AI model, imagine an AI model is exposed to every information available on the internet, like all the books, the articles, the websites, the Reddit posts, like all of Wikipedia, right? All the news archives. Like um, there's billions and billions of examples of human language.
Yeah.
And so if you use the exact same example that you gave of a child, imagine from all of that and with all its speed, it can figure out the patterns of how we communicate. So
Mhm.
it is basically learning from humans. Um, yeah. But what it is actually doing when I ask it a question, right? Like if you really dig deep though, when you ask something a question, when you ask AI a question, what really happens behind the scenes is an interesting one if you wanted to go into.
Yeah. So at its core, it is what is a large language model, like LLM, the word
Yeah.
that we use. So it
Yeah.
is what like Claude and Gemini, all of these are LLM. And what it does, it predicts the next word. And that is what it is. It's a word generator, right? It sounds too simple, but let's say I'm gonna ask you a question. The sky is.
Blue.
Yeah, right. So you knew it because you have heard it like so many times. And now imagine if you have read every book ever written, every website ever published. You would have an incredible sense of what word, comes next in any context. And that is basically what LLM is, but its large language model is. It's world's best pattern matcher for any language.
Yeah, but here's the thing, because we talked about transformer technology as well. Like it's more than just predicting one word at a time, right? Because you can also ask ChatGPT to write a whole article and whole email and writes paragraphs like effortlessly in seconds. Because while it's actually predicting one word, it's using that one word plus everything else it knows to predict the next word, then the next, and it keeps building on itself. So it keeps getting smarter as it keeps predicting those words. So it's like a chain reaction, right? And the thing is, because it has absorbed so many patterns from human language, it makes it also sound remarkably like us. Like it feels like we are writing it.
And when you say word, is it actually processing words like we think of them?
This is like one of those philosophical questions that's so hard to answer, right? I mean, I don't know. I guess like I mean, of course it's all debatable. I guess AI does not read words the way we do, right? Like it also, by the way, if you're going deeper into the research part of it, AI uses what's called tokens. The tokens are nothing but like very small pieces of a word. So you could take a full word, and then it breaks it out into chunks of words. So take a word like chat GPT, you could call it a word right now. And we would think of it as one word because we write it as one word like chat GPT. But AI might actually break it into two tokens, like it could be chat and GPT. And so every sentence, let's say if you're going to say ChatGPT is smart, then it could also get broken into more components or more tokens rather, like chat and GPT is smart. And even the period at the end, if there is a period in that sentence, it becomes what's called a token.
Wow. And why does it do that? Like why not just use the whole word?
Yeah, because it has to gain efficiency. That's the one thing, right? Like it has to be able to even handle words. It has never known before or it has never seen before. And the more it breaks, I think it's very similar to how we learn as well. Like the idea of breaking words apart and going to the roots and learning. Like in Hindi or Sanskrit, like, right, we have a root word and we have prefixes and suffixes. And even if you've never heard a word before, you can take a wild educated guess based on those prefixes and suffixes or what that word could be. And it's basically the same idea. So AI tries to build its understanding from these pieces, which I just call tokens. Um, but I know a lot of us worry or wonder if it's actually thinking. Is AI really so smart? Like, does it actually understand what it's saying? Like, how do I say, is it mindful and aware of what it's just saying? And that's like, I feel like very debatable, right? Even humans, like even for me, knowing exactly what I'm listening to my own thoughts is a process that I had to develop. Otherwise, you just go with the flow. So yeah, perhaps right now, perhaps AI does not truly understand the way we imagine humans understand. So, for example, if a chatbot says, I am happy to help you, I doubt it's really happy because it has learned to use those words happy in the context of humans because we tend to say stuff like that, but I don't know that if it's really feeling happiness because it is helping. So
Yeah,
that's
I mean, I bet it is not.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
I mean, obviously, it doesn't have a conscience, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it just follows the patterns. It says read, like people say, "How are you feeling?" I'm happy. It's probably read it a billion times. So, yeah, and I think that's a very important distinction. It's like if I give you a recipe written in a language you do not speak, and you perfectly follow each and every step, measuring, mixing, baking, and you make a delicious cake, right? Without understanding a single word of that recipe. So that result looks like understanding, but it is actually very precise pattern matching, right?
Yep, yep. And that's, I think, the key thing for all of us to remember that right now, AI is very, very powerful at producing results that look very intelligent, that look like it's understanding everything. But under the hood, it is still using existing data to correctly pattern match and predict what could come out of it. And it is doing it at a scale and at a speed and with the amount of knowledge that our brains, like a single human brain, probably collective human brains, cannot even begin to fathom. So that's the difference. And I guess it's okay because it's very useful for us, right? Like we could definitely leverage that to do or reach wherever we want to go.
Yeah, true. And I'm going to keep it real and give you an example. And I think a lot of us probably have some examples like these. Like when I asked AI tool to write a professional bio for me and very confidently said that I have led so many like 100 AI strategies at three different Fortune 500 companies. Do you think I have?
I know you have not. I'm sure you will.
I will. So that's the thing. Like, I would love to meet that version of myself. That sounds so rich, but that is really not me. So I don't know how that model came up with all of that, but that was like a little jarring.
Yep,
uh,
yep.
all right. So before we get into like myth busting around, we want to do something really special. And we know that there are a lot of jargons in the AI world, and it feels like everybody's speaking like a different language. So we want to do like a quick jargon buster, and we both are going to throw like, words at each other and see where it goes. All right.
Okay, let's
All
go.
right. Neha, I'm going to ask you the first one. When people say AI model, what do they really mean? And I don't think they're talking about fashion model, are they?
No, model is very much a research-oriented term. It's been used for a while now. Basically, an AI model is really a computer program that's been trained to do a very specific thing, right? Like, so it could be used in many different ways, but the idea is you can give it an input, you can give it, a bunch of photos, a lot of text, and it does some processing and it gives you back a response. So it's like training a brain, in this case, this AI model, with on one thing with a bunch of other things. So, and these AI models, by the way, can be of many different kinds. So, we use ChatGPT and Gemini and Claude, and these are what's called the language models because they mostly respond in text and are trained on text. Then there are models for videos. Sora is a great example. It's really cool, by the way. There are models for voice, like 11 Labs. There are actually models for image processing, like Nano Banana from Google. And each one is really trained, like I said, for a different purpose. So it's very specific, specialized on that specific purpose, and does the task really well.
Okay.
All right, next one I'm going to ask you, what is generative AI or
Okay.
Gen AI?
Okay. So when you think of AI, it's usually in like two different buckets. The old school AI that we talked about, it's mostly about analyzing and sorting things like your email spam filter that you gave and deciding what needs to go in junk and what needs to go in your inbox, or a bank detecting credit card fraud. So that layer AI looks at stuff that's happening and makes a decision: yes, no, this category or that category. Generative AI is something very new, and it is very different because it creates brand new stuff, and that's why it's revolutionary. It's like it can write you a brand new poem, it can write you a brand new song. And I'll give you an example. Like generative AI helped me write a new Disney song for our recent Disney vacation. So Vikram and I
Mhm.
use generative AI to create like a family Disney song. So it can compose music, it writes code, and that's where the generative part is very important, because it is capable of creating new content. And when people talk about AI revolution, they are mostly talking about this. So this is the leap from AI that sorts and classifies to AI that creates, and I'm obsessed with it part.
I know you're obsessed with this part because, yeah, I mean, I don't know how to put it. It's like instead of just sorting and cataloging things, it's actually now creating something for you, which is pretty cool, I
Yeah.
guess.
All right, next one for you. What about prompt? People keep talking about prompt and prompt engineering. What does that really mean?
Yeah. So let's take an example of an AI tool. Let's take Claude, right? Like, so a prompt is just something that you type into one of these AI tools. And really, that's it, right? Like, prompt is basically you asking a question or giving an instruction. And the reason there is a lot of hype around it, or it's a big deal, is because the way you phrase your prompt or what you're typing in dramatically changes what you're actually going to get back, right? So, an example for, or similar example for that could be like, say, you go to a restaurant, you order food. And if you're going to just say, well, give me some good food, right? You might get anything based on whatever that restaurant thinks is good food. But if you know exactly what you want and what you're in the mood for, and if you say, I would like this dish. Don't make it too spicy. Have some vegetables in it and make it how I'm used to eating. And if that specific model knows about you, or rather in this case, the restaurant knows about you, it'll come up with a much better result. And that's exactly what AI does. So it's really the prompt engineering part really is that you're able to put in very clear, thoughtful, and very specific prompt to get the kind of response that you wanted it to give.
Yeah. So prompt engineering is basically learning how to ask AI right questions. And I think this is so important. Like, this is so important to ask the right question and the way to ask the right question. And like Vikram and I, my 7-year-old and I do a couple of projects like creating new websites. And he has an idea,
Mm.
like, oh, I want to create a Ninja Turtle website where I create new stories. So I help him with the prompting portions. Like, you have to be extremely clear of what you want to build, and then you have to figure out how clearly you can prompt AI to build something for you. Even for the image, it's like, oh, I want 4 Ninja Turtle. It's like, no, how exactly do you want them? Do you want them in this color? Do you want them in sky, or do you want them floor? So it's like, unless you have clarity in your mind, prompting doesn't work, right? That's what is prompting, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's definitely something everyone should be aware of or learn about. And it's amazing that obviously Vikram is learning. So we have a bunch of other topics in our AI series. Like one of the next topics is going to be how do we go deep into this using these tools more effectively? And I know we're going to do an episode on how kids get impacted by AI and how they could leverage AI for their benefit. So we'll get into all of that. Okay, so last one could be a fun one. You probably, I mean, you obviously have heard the word hallucination in AI. Do you want to expand more on that?
Yep. So we talked about how AI works by predicting the next word based on pattern. Well, the problem is sometimes it doesn't have the right information, but it's very confident, and it still confidently fills in the gaps with something that sounds incredibly like believable, but it's made up. completely made up. It's like that's called hallucination. So it's like one of the friend who always tells you stories with total confidence, but you later find out, that's not true. And I'll give you a real
Jeez.
life example that you might have heard, that in May 2024, Google rolled out AI generated answers at the top of the search results. And one of the first thing that went real viral was something when people were searching for how to make cheese stick to pizza. And AI very confidently told them that add 1/8 cup of non toxic glue to the sauce
Oh,
on the pizza.
no. For real?
For real, for real. This is like a real story. You guys can go and fact check it. So, but the thing is, it did say non toxic glue. Come on. So,
Very clever.
and it got worse from there. So, it
Okay.
also told people that geologists recommend eating one small rock per day for mineral. And it
What?
turns out, when the research was done, it turns out that AI was pulling this from a 11-year-old Reddit joke and from an article. So, so it's knowledge base wasn't what it should be. And this was Google, not some random app, right? So this is hallucination in action.
Mhm.
Like AI doesn't know the difference between real fact and joke. And it just doesn't know, it just knows enough to make like sound confident, but it's not always the right information, right?
Wow, wow. With all its pattern matching and language making skills or language conversing skills, like it can do whatever. That's scary.
All right. So towards the end, Neha, do you want to do a quick like myth busting round? Yeah.
All right, let's start.
All right.
So, the idea is we'll talk about, the areas or just topics where there's a lot of myth flowing around. It could be a myth, it could be real, so we'll just try to go deeper into it. So, one is AI is going to take all of our jobs. And right now, if you search up on AI, that's the number one thing most people are worrying about. There are so many articles and podcasts and news about it all the time. And market conditions often also tend to show that. But the honest answer is, it really in long term, and I was listening to this podcast yesterday from a scientist in Stanford is talking about like, how AI can be actually leveraged to improve yourself, right? Like often with technology, people overestimate what it's going to do in short term and underestimate what it's going to do in long term. And so this is a very interesting thing, and it typically happens all the time. And it's happening the same with AI, which is like you're immediately jumping to conclusions of, well, it's gonna take away jobs. But what's going to do in long term actually is change the nature of those jobs. And so how we leverage it is going to be very, very relevant. And so, yeah, just trying to figure out, I mean, it's easier said than done. Obviously, it needs a mindset shift and a lot of work, and it's hard to really predict the future. But basically, figuring out what are those tasks at which AI can help us, and what is that other gap out there where we can jump in, where we can provide that value, right?
Mhm. Yeah. All right. All right. So then myth number two, AI can feel and think. So I think we covered this already, but let's be super clear. Current AI does not feel, does not think, and does not have consciousness. When ChatGPT says, I feel happy to help you, or I'm feeling sad for you, it's all like, it has learned these things from patterns. It's just making this up, so it's mirroring the pattern, something it's read. It's not a feeling, it's just a mere like a reflection.
I agree. Yeah. All right. Another myth is AI is always right. So AI is going to give me an answer and okay, I'm going to use it wherever. But actually, we have to be very, very careful, very, very careful. That's why our subject matter expertise is still exceedingly important. We just covered hallucination, right? Like AI will often give you answers super confidently because it knows exactly how to present so that you feel very sure about their response. So you have to know that AI can make stuff up. And it's not like it is trying to, it's not trying to be like evil or something. It's just that it might have picked some data point that just is incorrect. And it thought it is the correct one and it like pushed its answers on it. So, what we have to do is be sure to fact check most of the things that AI writes or things that we are not sure about that AI just responded with.
Correct. All right. Last one. I do not need to worry about AI because I am not in tech. So if you're using smartphone, you're actually already using AI. And if you apply for a job, AI might be screening your resume. If you go to a doctor, AI might be like helping them analyze their scans. So understanding AI is not just for tech skill anymore. It is actually becoming more of a life skill.
I agree. Yeah, yeah. Which is why we're doing this series, right?
Sure.
Yep. All
All right.
right.
So do you want to bring it home?
Yeah. So let's talk about the three things that we hope you're able to take away from today's episode. So, number one is AI is not coming in some future, it is already here. You're already most likely using it every day. And the question is whether you're aware of it and whether you're using it intentionally or not.
All right. Number two, at core, modern AI is recognizing patterns in massive amounts of data. So it's learned the way a child learns language, not by memorizing any rules, but by absorbing millions of examples. It's not magic, it's not conscious, it's incredible power of pattern magic. Magic.
Exactly. And yep. And number three is understanding AI is not just for techies anymore. You do not need a computer science degree. You just need curiosity and intelligence. I'm sorry, I see Vikram and I'm getting distracted. You just need curiosity and the willingness to learn. And I think if you have stayed with us till the end of this episode, it means you're really invested in it as well and you would like to learn more about it as well.
Yeah, and this is just the beginning, right? We have three more episodes that are coming, and we are hoping to, talk more about AI in different areas and how we benefit from AI, what our concerns are, and how can we ethically use it, right?
Yeah. So to quickly give us a plug on the next episode on AI series, it's going to be super practical. We're actually going to be talking about the AI productivity apps, the tools that really save you time, that's making your life easier, even right now and in the future. And we'll be testing them live and sharing our honest opinions with you.
Right. And we would love to hear from you and what your questions are about AI or anything else, and what confuses you, what are you excited about. So DM us at Chocolate and Spice Talk, leave us an email, and just communicate with us. We love interacting with you.
Yep. All right. Until next time. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.